Hello and welcome to a new episode of Bennessy Draws. So tonight I will be working on the Acolyte. It's a show that I'm quite enjoying that I'm seeing very mixed results about online. But I don't care because I'm enjoying it. It's pretty fun. I don't know if anyone else is into these guys, but I think we've seen one of the best Sith Lords probably since Maul took out his double-sided lightsaber. Qimir, I don't know what he's called. Is it the Stranger? Is that what is doing the rounds? I don't know how easy it is because you hear me. Let me bring my mic a little bit closer. There we go. As always, between fitting in everything else, this was a bit of a rough job. Trying to figure out what do they look like? What's their costume like? How do I post this? What's the composition? I did all that in just the last few minutes, really. I mean, the last half hour maybe before it came on. So hopefully this will live up to some drawing here. Let me just get this out of the way. Now, so we got Mae, who the show was pretty much all about. I mean, Qimir seems to be her master, apprentice, who seems to be very much wanting to be the Sith Lord, and he's going to train in his apprentice to try and kill his Sith Lord and take over, because there's always that rule of two in the Sith, I guess. But really cool costumes. His helmet is a bit tricky. What you can see here is I have it here just for some reference. Someone had done a render of it with all the shadow draped over it, which gave me something to actually reference and draw, which is great. Otherwise, literally living in the dark here. It's a bit tough to make out all the shapes. There was lots of tapping the screen and then going to the Photoshop and then like making it really bright to see what the detail was. But this has been the best one that I can reference so far. And since the very first moment Mae walked onto the screen, I thought her costume was just class. So I gave that a quick belt there. Didn't realize there was actually like chainmail on her armor until just a few minutes ago. But figure a way around that. And as you can see, it really was a bit of a rush job in here. I'm still drawing in things now to help me get this across line with some inks. We're going to get straight into the inks. I was thinking now that I could have done a nice little kind of tree setting, because a lot of the episodes are actually based in the forest. I might go back and do that. I'm going to try and do this kind of cover quality format going forward. So instead of maybe doing like 2 drawings a month, it will be 1, but it might take 2 streams to do. And then the other streams in between, like, so there'll be 4 streams a month. 2 will be this, and 2 will be working on the Honest comic book. Huge thank you to everyone who tuned in last week as I finished off the cover for the comic. Big numbers, really appreciate it. When it's not something like Star Wars or Spider-Man, and it's very much my own and Dave's creation that hasn't been released yet, to get that kind of viewership was just brilliant. Thank you so much. Hopefully get something similar tonight on a Star Wars product, but the numbers were good enough that I wonder if even we'll get that. That was pretty cool. As always, comments are open. If you want to ask about technique, questions, anything like that, we had quite a good chat the last day. Feel free to do so. And a lot of this is me still figuring these guys out as I draw. So bear with me. I'm gonna get stuck into this. So I'm gonna draw Mae first. I'm gonna turn this off because it's kind of distracting. And I'm just thinking now, I probably could have done something like let me just experiment here on screen for a second. What if I was to do something like around there, and we had trees, etc. any kind of editing afterwards I'll do on maybe the second stream. This is what I'm talking about there. So as always, over here I have my, they're not model sheets this time around, they're stills from the film, from the TV show, and then there's some kind of publicity shots where these guys are in full costume, and it is kind of a tricky one to figure out. Qimir's is a tricky one to make look really interesting because his helmet and his bracer is so beat up it just looks kind of manky. No, like it'll be fun throwing some shapes on that to make it look stylistically interesting. It could just be me going into like trying to convert from TV show into my style. But we talk here all night. Let's get into this. I'm turn off my borders and my rule of thirds. We don't need them on. We're going any forward here. And pretty much everything is going to be kept or drawn to within this box, this black box here. And yeah, let's get to it then, will we? So here we go. As always, I'm using Sketchbook Pro because it's just the best drawing and inking program out there. One of these days, Sketchbook will hear me talk about how great I love this program, how often I use it, and they'll roll out a sponsorship deal. It'll be fantastic. So let's get into this. So, as I said before, I usually leave like the eyes and things to last. But when it's something like this and I'm talking and drawing at the same time and it's someone kind of new to me, I kind of find it actually starting with the eyes gets me into a zone that I can kind of sets a pace for me going forward. So we're going to start with Mae's eyes, and then we're going to take full advantage here that we're drawing digitally, and there will be lots of drawing with my eraser. Her likeness was far easier to get than was it Lucy in Fallout. I think it might be because of her hair. There's nice shapes and things to already play with and exaggerate that kind of you can lean into, instead of solely banking on getting her likeness. I'm thinking about possibly reaching out to some bands to get some music other than what's just standard here on the StreamYard Pro format. If there's anyone watching, maybe would like their band played on this and I'd be allowed to do so on YouTube and all the likes, that would be awesome. Let me know. I feel like I haven't drawn an angry brow like that since I last drew Zanzi. When you're doing eyelashes, it's really beneficial to block out shapes instead of draw each individual eyelash. You'll end up with something far more aesthetically pleasing and far less of a headache. Yeah, going to change that music straight away. Come on. This one, maybe? Nope. All right, there we go. I think I like this one before. And before, I used to have this music kind of loud. I used to play it the whole time, and it used to drown me out. If in any way you can't hear me, let me know, and I'll turn it down, or I'll just turn it completely off again, whatever suits. Even on these small bits, just always drawing from the shoulder, getting that good, confident, quick line. If you're actually new to drawing from your shoulder, because I certainly didn't do it when I first started, and if you've never heard that before, start doing it, you'll end up with a different kind of line quality. It's much nicer, and it's perfectly normal to kind of get weird DOMs the following day if you've been drawing for a long period of time, using your shoulder for the first time. Weird, kind of just associate that with like the gym or some kind of exercise. But yeah, drawing from your shoulder can bring about a similar effect if you've never done it before. I usually leave all my line weights to the end, but I do keep an eye on them as I go on as well, in case there's an obvious something I'm missing. I'm pretty keen to draw her hair. I think this is going to be fun. Trying to find that balance of where I can use my black shapes and where I can add in little flicks of highlighted detail. I'm really excited to draw her. Actually, I think she's such a great design. Her costume is so cool, and I'm really enjoying the show. I think it's great. Like, it's getting a lot of mixed reviews online, and a lot of it I feel is like undue hate. I would be the first to say, yeah, it's not perfect, but it is fun, and I feel like this week's episode really added to a lot of the Star Wars canon, and it was just cool. A lot of the questions we had right up to this point actually got answered, which I think, at the very least, for all the bad reviews it's gotten, they should settle some of those bad reviewers' nerves a bit. I'm going to block out the shape first, because part of this is going to be a little bit of shapes and part of it's going to be linear detail. And because I haven't drawn it before, I haven't figured out what the balance is yet. So I kind of think that if I give myself an outline where I know there's a hood involved, I know there's going to be shadow cast from the hood, there's a certain amount of darkness that will be there because she's got dark hair, and just trying to find the balance of all those things into something that can be aesthetically pleasing for everyone to look at and also fun to draw. Line is far too thick. Here we go. The temptation here now is to start drawing in the rest of the hood, where I really should just leave it, finish off that hair and come back to the hood. And don't be too precious about what you've done already. So you can see that I've drawn in some of those eyelashes already, and I was quite happy with them, but clearly I'm going to go a different way with this, and I'm going to have to go over them with the hair, and just don't be precious about the stuff. Just go in, draw over the hair, get the right bit done, make sure the image overall is all the better for your decisions than you being precious and kind of making it look a little bit weak in areas. As I keep saying, we kind of get marks for being brave here, so really lean into where you're putting your shadows and or just even how you're playing with your shapes. I guarantee you it'll pay off in the long run. These things just do. And huge thanks to everyone who tuned in to the Odds Pod yesterday. It was a little bit of a mix of what Dave and I had done before we moved on to the live stream, and on the live stream, because we had a great guest, Alex Packnadell, with us yesterday. If you're a fan of Red Goblin or the new Sentinels book that's coming out with Marvel, go check it out. We had a lot of great things to say, and as always, when you kind of bring a writer on to our podcast, Dave gets a chance to kind of talk shop with these guys, and it's always really interesting to kind of hear how these writers are putting their stories together, things they avoid, rules they follow, all that kind of stuff can be really beneficial to people who are maybe trying to find out the first few steps of these things, how to start, what do I do when I have reached this kind of a problem, and generally these guys tend to solve it for you over the course of a quick conversation. So You'll find it on the Odds Pods, ODDSPODS, on pretty much all the socials and YouTube. All our live streams are up on YouTube, and we nearly have the podcast up and running again. So it'll be back up on that. All our previous live streams will go up on our podcast feed with the rest of our podcasts. We just haven't managed it yet. Technical difficulties and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that song is quite short, and if I hear it start again, I might go nuts. I'll do one more, and if it's really short, I will. Alright, here we go. If it's really short and starts repeating a lot, I'll just kill the music completely. I don't know if that's the vibe we're after here while we're working on this. What else we got? Come on. What's this one? I don't think so. Alright, we'll try this one. Alright. So, let me pick up the May picture I have. And again, make sure you get all your reference handy. You kind of want to have like the details of her armor, her hair, her knives, this kind of stuff. It's all worth making sure that you're working off the same core reference. You don't want to work from someone else's drawings, where they've taken a shortcut maybe and they've done an old knife or an old piece of armor that they've fallen back on due to deadlines being quite tight. You want to make sure that you get your details from the source correct. Okay. Don't want these to be like perfect spot blacks. Gonna make them kind of splotchy, little shades of light maybe somewhere. Actually maybe in closer to the hood, maybe a bit more perfect than what I'll have as it comes out along the face. And I've taken a bit of a liberty with her mask. And it's okay to, again, take these kind of liberties, but as a choice I've made, whereas if I had gone and referenced from someone else and they had made the same choice, I wouldn't be aware. And I kind of feel like you end up being like a watered down version of that artist's take on something instead of making something your own. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, I prefer to be the guy coming up with the ideas if I can. This line should be heavier. It's going to come up over the hood. And even these little lines all drawn from the shoulder. And when you have shadows like this in, don't feel like you can't go back in and kind of add a little bit of detail. It's easy to do it digitally because I can just draw out my eraser. And if I was working on this traditionally, I'd be taking out my Tipp-Ex and just drawing in a few lines. Make sure you're not drawing in the same line all the time though. Less is more. kind of feel as I'm drawing this hair that my absolute love of Chris Bacalo's work is I'm saying his name right. Jeez, like I might not be. Love his work, and I kind of feel like as I'm drawing in those spot blacks or black shapes, I say, like with a little bit detail, I feel like I'm calling upon some of the work that he's drawn that I've seen, just to help me get through this. Love his work. Too even there. Remember what I keep talking about twinning? It matters in a lot of realms of what you're working on. And right there, I had kind of a very similar strand coming down that I'd already used on her head. And if they all look the same, she starts looking robotic, and any kind of real energy and fun and aesthetic pleasingness out of your image disappears the second you go that route. Okay. We're done okay there. She's got kind of a massive shawl. But to be honest, I couldn't really figure out exactly how it worked. This was the iteration of it that I settled on because I thought it was fun. I thought it looked nice, and it still worked as a shawl. It wasn't just something that looked nice, but made little to no sense in practice. Her armor is very interesting too. Kind of weird sets of letters. It's pretty cool. There's kind of a strange breastplate, kind of strung on with little bits. It's a really cool outfit. I keep saying it because it's true. It's awesome. And always watching out for tangents. Just like that one there as well. I think I'll go back in with my kind of grunge brushes at the end, just to dirty up and really add some texture to those bits of breastplate. A little too even on top and bottom. I'm going to take away some of the shadow from the top. Wasn't paying attention there. I think my rough drawing kind of steered me wrong. But again, we'll take advantage of the fact that we're working digitally, and this is a very easy job to fix up. Traditionally, not so easy. But again, if I was working on this traditionally, my pencils will be far tighter. Those kind of mistakes just wouldn't happen. As you probably saw when I was working on the Godfell pieces in March, there was a bunch of traditional pieces in those. I think you can still see those traditional pieces on my Instagram, maybe some of them on my TikTok, Bennessy's Tick. Should have thought a little bit more about that one, I think. Whoops. I'm just using those lines to help bring a certain kind of shape to her shawl. If I was painting it, that's kind of the direction I would be painting. My brush strokes would go in, and kind of find that when I do it with my ink line, sometimes it really helps inform the volume. Scroll down a little bit. Here we go. It's a really battered piece of armor she's wearing. Cheers, Tom. Good to see you, man. For anyone watching, Tom's a pretty stellar artist. Go give him a follow. I was just saying at the top of the show there, Tom, that it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm enjoying it. It's getting some very mixed reviews online, but it's a lot of fun. Don't know if I zoomed out in a while. That's what we're going to be working on tonight. We're trying to get as much of this done in about 2 hours. And I am figuring this design out on the fly. Belt itself now is going to be mostly black, so I don't want to have tons of shadow on the breastplate going into it. It'll kind of just take away from some of the shape I can play with. Really feathering those lines to get them to be where I want them to be. And as we're going further down the body, as the light is kind of coming down from up top, you can lean a little heavier on those those lines at the bottom of a shape, just to indicate a little bit more weight to them. Again, we do our kind of line sweep at the end to make sure our line weight's correct the whole way around, but you do what you can in the middle just to give yourself a bit of less work at the end. Yeah, I always talk about that Sargent drawing of the elephant, where there's loads of heavy lines drawing at the very bottom of the elephant, and then at the very top there's a single line that doesn't join in the middle, just to show everyone like where the light is hitting this object and where this object is at its heaviest and its lightest. It's always something like this where I'm putting a lot of black on an object that I really wish I had more time to figure out exactly what the belt looked like, and what this person's little details in their clothes actually are, as opposed to what you assume they are in your first look. Like, I didn't realize up until just a few minutes ago that there was these little kind of circles on her belt. And I'd love to go in and explore that a little bit more. Maybe the next time around I'm drawing these folks, that's exactly what I'll do. But that's where I kind of put myself in on these character designs. Just exactly what is it that they're wearing? What does her daggers look like? What does Qimir's, spoiler in case you haven't been watching the show, whoops, I guess I'm drawing the Acolyte, it's on the banner, but what the lightsaber actually looks like, because everyone's lightsaber is a little different. And in the most recent episode we got to see Burns lightsaber whip, deadly. I think we got to see some marks left by those whips as well. I wonder. Really like that this show is really making the Jedi out to be real bad guys and the Sith to be somewhat of a good guy. It's really cool. I kind of wish, instead of maybe seeing a person turn, which maybe not seeing it, we'll find out at the end. But it would be kind of cool to just get a series completely from the point of view of the Sith. I never really thought about that before. Again, taking advantage of the fact that we're drawing digitally and drawing with the eraser as much as we use the nib. Yeah, don't really know much about the Acolyte. I think it should be. Let's just put this up on screen for everyone to see. There we go. Andor was awesome. Best thing Star Wars ever put out, really. It's just really, really good. Thanks a million for the kind words about Godfell. Really appreciate that. That's cool. Thank you. Inclined to agree for the most part. A lot of the Star Wars stuff can be, you can. It's optional. You don't have to be in it to keep up with everything, and you don't need to see it. if you're not like a diehard fan, which I don't claim to be, I love Star Wars, but I would be I would be found out pretty quickly, I think, if I was to pretend to be a Star Wars know-it-all, and I'm just not. Um, but thanks. I liked those kind of gruesome moments that I could put into Godfell too. That was fun. Most of my career has been spent in children's TV, so getting an opportunity to do some gore was absolutely jumped at. I'd love to do more Godfell. Kind of feel like Chris and I would have some more to say about Zanzi and Net if we got the chance. Watching those lines, we don't want hard edges at this part. Okay, wasn't really happy with that. Let's just do that again. There we go. Fix that shape too. Now, as I kind of said, her breastplate's quite beat up, so I'm not going to be too particular about making sure every little scratchy bit here is filled in perfectly, and I kind of want this to look a little beat up, and I won't achieve that look, that aesthetic, if I go into the paint bucket, because it'll just give me a crisp, clean black fill. And what I want here is something a little bit dirty, a little scratchy. Tom, I'd say if you kind of feel that way about Star Wars, Acolyte might not be for you. But if you want to watch an absolute thick scene where Jedi are pretty much split in two and turn into a kind of I was going to say shish kebab, but more of a Sith kebab, I guess. Hey, full of jokes. It's worth watching. I think episode 5 will give you everything you ever wanted. Great fight sequence. I really loved it. at the end of plotting in my texturing and my shadows here, I'm going to go back over the drawing with the opacity, the clear brush, like the eraser nib, just to give things a little bit more life to it. Like I kind of feel that if you're not drawing as much with the kind of like how you would do with Tipex and stuff, you know, when you go to put in your whites, your tints, it's an opportunity to add a bit more something to your drawing. And I think you're better off kind of doing that near the end, because again, less is more. If you overdo that kind of stuff, you can kind of ruin your drawing very quickly. Oh, I got a ho-ho for my sif kebab, I think. Nice. It was a good one. I'll take full credit for that. Am I into that? That little, why am I leaving that? Not so much. The Andor show felt a lot like Lucas early stuff. The prison planet was perfect. Yeah, I could almost hear that THX sound every time Andor started, really. They got so much right with Andor. It was so good. Can't wait till the next one. I don't think, what is it, next year? I think Andor's coming out. That'll get mega reviews. Everyone will want to watch that. This show, pretty good. Slow, builds us up, leaves you with loads of questions, leaves you wondering, like, hang on, is that right? Because previously this was the thing that happened, and these guys didn't say that, and this didn't happen then, and there's loads of these things. But it's a pretty good mystery, and like all good mysteries, it just kind of lets you hanging on the answers, and you just have to wait for it to happen. So it is good, but like, it's not Andor, but hard to be an Andor all the time. I'm enjoying this from the point of view of how it all kind of started. What makes the Jedi Council we see when they're in the really big Coruscant, and as opposed to the kind of smaller one we're seeing in this show. But yeah, again, if you're a massive Star Wars fan, I think it's one you should be watching. And I understand that it's not perfect, but it is a bit of fun. If you'd like to not take these things too seriously, and you can enjoy the mystery for playing out the way Leslie Headland, I think, is running this things or so, I think you're in for a treat. Like, we are looking at one of the best Sith Lords I think Star Wars has ever come up with. It's really good. Not saying it's better than Darth Vader now, but pretty great. This dude right here, he's nuts. Again, huge thanks to everyone tuning in last week for the odds cover. That was really cool. I really wasn't expecting those numbers. It was pretty massive right from the get-go, and it was quite reassuring to have those kind of numbers on a product that is a creator-owned book. Like, it doesn't have a history in the fandom that Star Wars and Spidey and Batman and all do. So when I say thanks, I really do mean it. I was so thrilled with the views. Step back a bit and have a look. Might be a few more shadows to put down in a bit, but right now we'll keep going. Pretty happy. Would be a bit happier now if I picked the black ink, not the brown ink. And always trying to remember, you're not just drawing in a flat shape. You're trying to inform everyone of something's volume, of its texture. Cloth will look different to leather. Spandex looks different to armor. Look at the master, Mike Mignola, and how he can render these differences in just a couple of lines or just 2 or 3 shapes. All those little things really help to add some tangibility to your character. Do build your own brushes on Sketchbook Pro. So to make a long story boring, no. I used to. I made a lot of brushes a number of years ago. Bought brushes, downloaded brushes, got brushes out of magazines, used them religiously. And then there was like 2 or 3 times where I had to go work in a studio and I needed those brushes. And then I'd have to go to the bother of installing all those brushes on their computer because I was working on their stuff, and it just became a job. And sometimes, because they have previous brushes installed on that machine, it would overwrite some of my brushes so often, and then I'd have to reinstall them again. And it just became very quick and obvious to me that, or quickly obvious to me that I could just go with the default brushes, just get in there and draw, and it should be on me as opposed to this fancy brush that I bought from this guy who's got a great name for making great brushes. And yes, there are folks like that, and yes, their brushes are good, but unless I can use it reliably all the time, I can't bank on them. So I stopped making brushes and I just use the brushes that come as standard with any program these days. So I know if I go somewhere to work, I can actually just get to work. I don't have to go and do a thing. And because I get so used to working with one kind of brush that this kind of line is what I'm used to, and then I have to use a new brush and it doesn't give me this, and now my drawings look terrible and it takes me an age to get used to a new brush set. That's a problem. So I just don't do that anymore. I cut that out as soon as I saw that was going to be a problem for me. Like having those nice brushes became such a crush. I also kind of found that my work got a bit like hammy. Like I would rely specifically on a brush to give me a specific look on something. And I wasn't putting in the effort to really render it properly. So yeah, definitely stop doing that. I just use the default brushes now and haven't looked back. Uh, the brushes in Sketchbook are pretty great though. You don't need to do much to make them a bit more maybe set for yourself. Like this nib that I'm using right now. Um, I think when you start Sketchbook, when you download it for the first time and you go to open this, it's set to 90% opacity. Um, just get right in there and turn that thing up to 100, and that's probably the only thing you need to edit. Like everything else works pretty great. The pencil tool is one of the best I ever used. Like digitally, like it feels like a pencil. But it also or it looks like a pencil, but I guess it feels a bit like that Sharpie on glass that this feels like. And I kind of like that feeling. I don't need the tooth from the nib and the page. It was something that bothered me initially, and I'd be buying things to put on what was an old whack Intuos. And then it'd wear out, you put on another one, and I eventually just stopped doing that and just kind of got into the meat and bones of what this is. What this is just drawing. It's the same as using a pencil. And the more I tried to make it a traditional likeness on a digital tool, I kind of found that it slowed me down and became something I relied on. And now I just stick with the regular brush set, yeah, on everything. I try not to draw in Photoshop. I use it just for painting. I haven't really painted in Photoshop in a long time either. I mostly stick with Sketchbook and Clip Studio Paint. Bit of Procreate on the iPad too. Actually, Procreate's fantastic. Don't know why those guys don't have a desktop app yet. I think they'd clean up if they did. Oops. Well, while we're talking about Sketchbook, one thing I wish it did have that Photoshop has, and it doesn't, is the navigator window. Like, I would love if it had that, just so I could be drawing down here, working away, zoomed in as I am, quite a lot of the time, and I could just look up at my other screen and I could see the image in its entirety, and I'd be able to check my line weights without having to stop and do this and look around and go back. I could just look up, and that'd be a huge, huge, huge time saver. Oh no, I just saw there. Ketchup in the power pot. Whoa, God, that's tough. Oh, that's rough. Oh no, yeah. I feel that. That's. I had a panic moment here a while ago actually. But I had left a Sharpie open, and I was working on something, and my daughter had come into the room, and I started drawing on it. Luckily for me, she had put a page on the tablet instead of drawing on the page, as opposed to trying to put the Sharpie straight onto the tablet. I got lucky. Could have been real bad. My granddad the window, yeah. They don't insure it against ketchup in the power port, you know? God. So you got rid of your daughter then, I take it. She's done now, right? New home. Sorry, not your daughter. You have a daughter? I can't remember. It's been a while. You've been in a different country for a long time now. I hope things are going well, by the way. It's great to hear from you. Maybe earthquake insurance. Maybe what you could have done was maybe just say earthquake spilled ketchup into the carport, you know? Rough. Actually, if it helps, like I'm on what I'm drawing on right now is a Huion, I don't know how to pronounce it. Huion, and they're really good. And I think like what I'm working on now is like less than a third of the price of a 16-inch Wacom tablet. Wacom. I don't know how to say any of these things, but it's really good. I can't tell the difference. Use Wacom pretty much right up until 2 years ago when I started using this, and in no way am I going back to it. It's really, really good. And I was putting off drawing this because there's kind of a chain mail type thing at the end of this, and what I'm going to do is kind of draw kind of a scale mail maybe instead. Just why not? Again, kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, you can deviate from the design at times. Just make sure you have good reason for it. But so long as it's also you doing the deviation and not looking at another artist's take on something, and going with that as Bible, when you should be looking at the source material first before you make any design choices. Turn off these because they're only going to confuse me a bit. Now, this is going to be pretty much a spot black. I almost could use the paint bucket on this part of the leg. Don't worry about going past the line at the moment. We can always tidy that up at the end. 4:20 in. We're doing okay on time because the stranger, I think, is the name of the Sith in this. Like, or maybe there's going to be a reveal. Looks like a Sith Lord that doesn't maybe possibly have a master, because don't masters usually name them? Just realized that. Again, it's an interesting show to watch it play out. Like, things are happening to the canon somewhat, and it's pretty cool. But he's a pretty simple design. The only real detail is in the helmet and his single cortosis bracer. And actually, Tom, since maybe you haven't been watching, the Sith Lord's helmet and bracer is made of this metal that can make lightsabers short out, so they stop working, and it's pretty cool. So get in there if you want to see someone headbutt a lightsaber for the first time. It's pretty awesome. Don't know if you watch Jack Reacher, but you know, it's almost as awesome as when that guy headbutted the fist of the guy punching him and hurt the guy who tried to punch him. I love those little moments. More of those, please, Hollywood. Don't want the shadow to go all the way out to the edge on her just yet. Thinking about what I talked about at the start of the show, where maybe I'll do a background among these guys. I was just going to have them cast in kind of a spotlight, but I had an idea now and I can't shake it, and I might have to see that idea through. Don't like that. Just realizing now how happy I am I left the shawl on, otherwise I was drawing a lot more armor. This seems to be kind of more of a shiny material on her arm, so I probably should have used the bucket on that. Sometimes you just kind of get into it, and you're not so much thinking about the quickest way to do something. You're just kind of enjoying the process. kind of hard edges are kind of nice on leather like this, not your kind of soft rounded stuff. I find I like them. Again, that kind of Chris Bacalo influence on me, I guess. But again, not to be very reliant on other artists informing your stuff. There's at one stage, and I said it before on the stream a number of times now, actually. I'll say it again though. Try and reference from life as much as you can. There was a period where I was very influenced by Humberto Ramos, and I kind of had to step back from his stuff for a while, re-inform myself about kind of build my own visual language, how I see something versus how he sees something, and kind of how I can make not even how to make my own style, just to kind of start over again, start from scratch, re-inform myself on how people stand, expressions, how they make them, shapes that I use for hoods, that kind of stuff. It all came from putting down Dave Stevens and Humberto Ramos, all these guys, and going out to cafes and pubs and drawing real people. My mates used to call them my creepy sketchbooks, because I would have loads of drawings of people, and these people would have no idea I've drawn them, and I would go to the same places quite often. I used to go to the Jervis shopping centre in Dublin every Saturday, and there would be drawings of the same people there, and those guys had no idea I was drawing them. So I can see my mates' point, but creepy or not, they really helped me inform myself, build my own language, and eventually then my own style. Just kind of came around by default, and I could go back and I could look at other artists then that I really enjoyed, buy their work again without being too influenced by them. It'd be more like, oh, I like how they did that, how can I steal that, make that my own, as opposed to outrightly drawing it in a way that that they just did. I haven't drawn a knife in the other hand yet, because I'm going to draw them all in one go, and I'm going to open up the page here I have of her daggers on my laptop next to me, so I know what they look like. I didn't want to have to draw them in one hand, spend an age doing this, and then come back over here and then do it all again. So I'm going to just finish the hands now in a second, and then I'm going to get into the knives. I said it before on the stream again, It helps when you act out these things, even the still images. I think it's usually just associated with storyboarding and animation, but I really do feel that if you act out your poses for comic books as well, you end up with a far stronger pose, a really more informed pose. Like I found that when I was starting work on Godfell, I had a few poses of Zanzi that they just weren't working for me. I was really going for it though. I was really like, when she was like angry, I was drawing hands, doing all these little different things. The fingers weren't doing the same thing on the hand once. It was too much. So when I acted it out, I realized that for the most part, my hands kind of stayed together. That was a big part of the gesture, that they make it kind of a big silhouette. So that's kind of been my approach since acting it out, getting a more genuine gesture, and I kind of find that the mood I'm trying to set immediately becomes easier to convey to an audience. I have accidentally deleted that page. I'm gonna go and look up the daggers again. Acolyte daggers. That'll get me there, right? There we go. Nope, didn't get me there. There they go. Excellent. I was worried I'd lose that because the reference I had was really good. Yeah, I might get in on this chainmail real quick. And when I draw kind of scale mail or chain mail, I have that rule of the overlapping on the right kind of stuff. But when it comes to the edges, I try not to make it too clinical. I try to make it a bit rough, a bit messy, because I kind of found that it kind of made stuff look kind of worn and used and bedraggled kind of stuff, which armor's supposed to be taking knocks all the time. Again, I like those kind of hard edges from it, as opposed to a crisp clear line all the way down. That's just a me thing. I kind of do these whilst watching out for tangents. faster now. Let's come back to that bit and just do the line going up first. No. I'll work my way down again. Thank God I'm working digitally. All right. We have a shadow in there. I would like this shawl to be a harder edge here. There we go. Okay. Now. Okay. Take out the ruler tool for that kind of sharpness in the line we're going to need here. And we're going to take out the ellipse tool for the circular shape here at the end of the hilt. Not the hilt. What do you call it? It'll come to me. Pommel. There we go. And the grip is kind of a weird one. Kind of goes like this. Ooh, picking the wrong color now. I think that means I should be taking a swig of coffee. Me knock the hat off my head. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this off so I can draw these things symmetrically, because these aren't symmetrical, they're kind of very rough. Again, I love these ellipses and ruler tools in Sketchbook Pro. They let you really play with the line quality that other programs just don't get. I don't know why. I don't know why you're the only guys to crack it, but it's so good. Use a ruler for now, and I will amend my line quality as soon as I have my basic shapes kind of down on the page. And how long are we? We're an hour 45. So as I was kind of saying, this is probably going to be the norm going forward, where I don't end up with a fully finished image at the end of 2 hours. I'm going to work on doing a kind of a cover quality image every time now. And that'll probably take the guts of 2 shows, because I never get a cover drawn in 2 hours. I generally spend about at least 8 hours at a cover, really, depending on how simple I guess the cover is. That can vary hugely, and I'm going to try and do that going forward. So we're at a phase here where I was doing a monthly print in the shop, Bennessy.com, and then I started doing these streams, and then that made up like nearly 4 prints that I could do, that I was going to start adding to the shop online, and then I needed to fit in more odds work, because I don't want to fall behind on that book. And the best way to do it now is to have a week of the odds and a week of this. And the week of the odds could be either a panel that I tackle for 2 hours, or it can be part of a cover like I did recently. And I think it's a kind of a good way to go. So I'll go back to like the one new print that'll go up in the shop, because it'll take me 2 sessions to draw it, and keep up then for more covers that I'll draw and panels to be working on the book that myself and Dave are working on. Coming very close to the end now. It's very close to the end. It's kind of hard to say now. Like, really enjoy working on this. I hope that that's another book I think we could spend more time on with other characters, and not with other characters, but like with more the same the things that characters have been established in that first book. I think you're gonna love it. Like, Dave has a wonderful way of pacing out a new character that doesn't feel like a new character. You know, it feels like you've known this person forever. The way he makes you empathize with them almost immediately is incredible. Real talent, and there's so many in our book that I'd love to go back and just spend more time with these guys. You know, I hope you guys feel that way too when the book comes out. That'd be nice. Let us know if you do. Just like we see a lot of the Sith before they become Sith, they have to like kill a Jedi or do something without a saber. May has to kill a whole bunch of Jedi without a lightsaber, and she's not allowed to use a weapon at all. But she's kind of been leaning in on these knives a bit more than she should, and it was cool to see so much this action that was hand to hand and not just solely reliant on the lightsaber. I don't think we've ever seen a neck get bent backwards in Star Wars before. Like, yeah, we've seen John Wick and just about every other action film go and do something pretty dark like that, but for Star Wars to do it, and with a character like you just thought they were building up, you know, an untouchable good guy. Wow. Again, I like the show. It's a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, show I worked on for Marvel, Hit Monkey is coming out the 15th of July. Let us know what you think. I got to work on a character pose pass, so kind of somewhere in between storyboards and animation. We had to do a pose pass, so the animators kind of had something from the storyboards that was a bit more on model, so they didn't have to do too much thinking and assessing this character to fit. If you know, like a storyboard can be quite loose. I can take some leeway with the design in order to get the story, the action across to the rest of the animation team. But for a show as well animated as Hit Monkey, it needed to be a bit more tied down. So the folks in Treehouse Republic in Dublin, shout out to those guys, gave a few of us a call. I was one of the lucky few, and we got to go and do that pass on Hit Monkey. It was great. Great show as well. I only got to work on the last few episodes. I think that's how all the Disney stuff kind of works. You don't really get to work on a whole part of a production because I think they're worried people might run out and spoil it or something. But I got to work on the last few episodes, and there was characters in those last few episodes that were not in the first season that I really liked. So it was great to go back and find out who they were, what they were about, what their story was. I can't wait to do that, because even just the tiny little bit that I got to see them, I really felt for them. It said a lot. If they can do that in just a few episodes, Imagine what the entire thing must be like. Can't wait to see it. Okay, so we have our Mae. She's in the can. We're working on our Sith Lord now. With his cool, like, samurai blade and short arm. I love it. And while Mae's armor is quite worn and battered, and you can see it been knocked about, this guy's outfit is quite tidy. The only kind of places you see any kind of wear and tear is the helmet, his bracer, and his knuckles. Always looking for that balance of straights and curves in the design. I think that should work. Yeah, we want this one pretty slick looking, so using the bucket on that. Okay, and as I said there in the show, this helmet, this mad looking yoke. I should not flip it, so I'm a bit more reader with my decision making, not having to think about swapping and inverting and all that kind of stuff. But you can see how messed up the helmet is. It's pretty cool. Has the Batman who laughs kind of qualities about it. So I might have come down a little too far in my pencils. I'll amend that now. I loved the ending of today's episode. Hearing that sound, I won't spoil it, was just, oh, what a great touch. Real chef's kiss there. I mean, loved it. Loved it. I kind of feel that any kind of bad press the show got, the latest episode answered so many of those questions. Gotta go back into the good books. And I think the previous episode where there was so much happening, again, still with its faults, yes, understood and absolutely agreed, but I just don't think it's so worthy of all the bad press this show is getting. It's fun. Maybe I'm just a little bit more easily pleased than folks, though. Who knows? But I did like it, and I was late to the party on Obi-Wan. Yes, this show had mistakes, not mistakes, issues. Still a fun show. Just coming up to the 2-hour mark now. Might need to call it quits. We will see. I'm going to give it another 10-15 minutes and see where I am with that and if I can finish this tonight or not. So I might just finish off the characters and then come back and do that framing idea that I had planned, that I was playing around at the very start of the show. Or if I come back and do something entirely different. Or maybe I just need to relax and let the fact that it's going to take a couple of streams to do these images now instead of just one. That's okay too. A little too even. Actually, I don't like that. I'm going to put another line down here. Make sure I avoid the tangent. And the twinning is just twinning horribly. Let's get rid of it. If you've noticed, I swapped and went down to the lower parts of his costume just as I noticed the time there, because I know I get this bit done pretty quickly. And again, the difference between this costume and Mae's is that kind of wear and tear versus the quite tidy Sith Lord. Should make this bit here quite very easy to do, and is something I can use the bucket on again. Okay, I think all those lines are closed off. Yes, yes, fantastic. Right before I draw sabers, I'm going to finish off drawing in the kind of organic stuff, maybe even the helmet first. For now, but yeah, I'm gonna get this guy pretty much drawn before I call it a night. I'm drawing so much of the odds recently. I'm finding to really fight myself with the urge to draw in very hairy arms on this guy. If at all you kind of struggle with body parts like knees or elbows, I kind of found that Similar to how I talked about when I struggled with shadows, I found that plotting them down graphically really helped me before I kind of got too lost in trying to plot them down according to the light source and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And yes, you should do that too, but when you're starting off and you're a bit unsure, drawing in the shapes and your lines kind of really help. I recommend giving that a shot if you're a bit unsure of yourself with those things. And his bracer is not smooth. It is ugly and weird looking. And I think when I first saw it, I wasn't sure that it was actually a bracer. I thought maybe he had like scolded his arms with this metal or something. Like, it's weird looking. But apparently, according to the Wikipedia, like a really brittle metal. So I guess if it's going to get battered around and he's going to use it to deflect lightsabers, etc., probably not going to spend too much time making a very brittle metal look nice, because then when you go back home after a big Jedi fight, you probably have to make yourself a new one. To reference that, I couldn't really make it out on the still images that I brightened, but I did find like a page where there was like a blacksmith looking at fixing some old metals, and there's a whole bunch of twisted metals and things in it. That's been really good reference for me. It's good to think about again the source of what it is you're looking at. I'm sure the costume designer looked at a ton of beaten metals before they settled on this design, and there's no harm in you going to their source so you can kind of put together your own take on the bracer. And this guy is very battle ready. He talks about techniques with the saber. He's able to handle quite a lot of Jedi on his own, and I found that like when people are doing quite a lot of combat sports, their knuckles are quite flat, so you don't really need to go all out on big bony knuckles on someone's hand like his. The hand will still fold around like a normal hand should do, but the knuckles won't stick out as much. So I'll get all my line work done tonight, and 112. Maybe not the sabers. And this helmet's not an iPhone. It's beaten up, scratched to bits, welded by a guy who probably has never welded anything before in his life. So it should be wobbly and kind of just disgusting looking. And yeah, keep that in mind when you're drawing it. It doesn't have to be a pristine image here. It just needs to render the kind of story behind it, which is a very beaten, a very used piece of armor. Was a whole, yeah. Okay, the teeth. Pretty rectangular. The whole way around. And leaving a little bit of shadow where the top and bottom teeth meet. Horrible tangents. There we go. Okay, so some of these should be thicker. Shouldn't be unified all the way around. A few lumpy bits where some shadow is cast underneath it. Okay. Bit too tight to that line for my liking. There we go. It's a bit tighter. Okay, let's kill that mask. We're looking pretty good, and we're nearly 120 on the clock. I think it'd be mad not to finish the lightsabers, right? Gotta do it. One thing I noticed about the lightsabers in this show is they're all quite they've all got a very thick handle. I'm going to lightly draw in the actual light part of the saber because I can't remember if I did Vader on the stream maybe a month ago or something, and I did Ahsoka somewhat recently before that. I'm not in the stream though, but I kind of like I like to almost not draw the beam and draw everything around the beam. I think that leaves me with a better beam being the technical word. But I'll try to do that again here, and just for now, just draw it in so I kind of know where I'm going. Terrible tangent, we're going to get rid of it. Wasn't paying attention, I was too busy talking. Okay, there's one. Okay. Get rid of that line. Don't know what I was looking at when I was drawing in that line. The perspective was off and everything. Again, from the shoulder for better lines. There we go. Ruler again. Now. So that's where we'll leave it for tonight. 2:23 on the clock. We got Mae. And we got our Sith Lord with all the Cortosis metal stuff. Little throwing daggers. Our cool armor. And yeah, I'll finish this the next day. So the next day will be a bit of texturing and maybe some little finer details, and possibly I'll make a call on that during the week whether or not I put in that kind of tree surrounding that kind of border I was playing with at the very start of the video. Thanks for tuning in again tonight. Good number again. Thank you very much. Bit of chat on the comments as well. That's always cool. And as always, if there's anything you want to pick up on the website, I know this is like the third week now I've said this, but the people who are waiting on a print, my printer still hasn't got back to me. I'm actually going to run down to them tomorrow and chase up on stuff and then get everything into the post. It never happened before. I don't understand what's going on. It looks like it's I'm sure it's just a weird one-time thing, but I'll get that figured out this week and get all the prints in the post by the weekend at the very least. Just in case anyone's kind of wondering, where's that print that I bought? It is en route, and if I have to go find another printer, I'll do that if I have to, but hopefully my current printers will be able to stick the landing here, because they did do a great job. But if you want to get any prints, comics, commissions, go to Bennessy.com. And there is also t-shirts and hoodies and water bottles and phone covers you can pick up for the merch tab. Funny little kind of cartoons there you can pick up as well, and some kind of pin-ups on things too. And there will be a newsletter going out either late this week or early next week with a little bit of news. And that is it for me. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. If you missed some of this, want to catch it again, it's on YouTube or Twitch, and please like and subscribe. I'll be on all the socials as per usual with any kind of updates or anything kind of happening. You can find me there, Bennessy, and pretty much all those. And that'll be it for tonight. Let me zoom in on this before I quit the stream. Give you guys a close-up on our bad guys, and I will see you guys next week.